Hello chess lovers! This position is taken from a game played by Arshak, Petrosian and Laszlo Hazai. The game was played in 1970. In this position, black played queen b6, sacrificing the queen. And it turns out that actually this is a Greek gift. White captured on b6, accepting the sacrifice. Black recaptured. Here white played h4, trying to open up a square for the queen. Black took on h4, queen d2, trying to bring the queen to h3 square, but here comes a strong response by black, h3. And after g takes h3, black played h4, and it turns out that this is a completely locked up position, and there is no way to break through. The players made a few more moves and agreed to a draw. Probably white was planning to sacrifice on a5, but later changed its mind and didn't go for that sacrifice. And the game ended in a draw. But let's go back. A question arises, what is the best move in this position? How can white win? The best move in this position is queen c1, and if black insists on sacrificing the queen, for example a move like king b8, now already white can easily take on b6. If c takes b6, then h4, g takes h4, and then now queen h1 is winning, followed by queen h3, and white can easily win the game. But let's go back. What if in this position after queen c1, black will play queen a7? A question arises, how can white win? It turns out that this pawn on a5 is weakened and white can actually put pressure on that pawn. Here is how. Queen d2, king b8, and now king b3, king b7, knight c3, king b6, king goes to a4, intensifying pressure on a5 square, king b7, and now comes the knight. Knight jumps to a2, c1, b3 squares, and there is no way to defend the pawn on a5. Knight a2, let's just make random moves for black. Black is waiting, and after king b6, you can simply take on a5. Queen takes a5, knight takes a5, bishop f2. Now let's have a look quickly how can white win in this position. This knight is very active, and first it can put pressure on one of these pawns. So knight c6, h4. Well, if you won't play h4, sooner or later you will lose this pawn on h5. h4, knight c8, bishop e3, knight f7. You are losing your pawn on g5 as well. Bishop e3, knight e6, bishop f2, and now comes the king back, king b3, bishop g3, a4, bishop f2, king c2, bishop e1, king d1. Well, in this position black has two options. Actually white is going to kick away this bishop from this diagonal. Well, if you move away your bishop to, for example, a5, then you can easily lose your pawn on h4 and you will lose the game. So black plays, for example, bishop f2, king e2, keeping near to this c4 pawn, bishop g3, and now simply a5 check, king b7, a6 check, king b6, and now a7, and black is just urged to take that pawn on a7, king takes a7, and now comes knight takes c7, and a few more moves and white will also capture this pawn on d6, which is also weakened, and white can easily win the game. Now let's test my chess engine Stockfish 8. As you can see, Stockfish 8 thinks on taking on b6, also suggests a move like h4. And evaluates that both those continuations lead to a victory. Well, let's have a look at this h4 move. queen b7 according to the engine, but I will take on h4. Now knight takes b6, c takes b6, and how are you going to win in this position, Mr. Stockfish? For example, queen a1, I will simply play h3 and then close the position, and just there is no way to break through, and this is a drawn endgame. But still the engine thinks that it's winning for white. This much. Your comments please, and thanks for watching. Good luck.